Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Wait. Before we start, does this interest you? This distinguished gentleman is now live on Makeshift.com for a grand total of $30. Link in the description below. Make sure you snag one before the time expires because it's not coming back. By the possums, 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 by the possums. Now to your regularly scheduled program. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is The Painter, posted April 5th, 2015, to r/relationships. Me, 24 female, with my boyfriend, 27 male, of 2 years. He destroyed the painting I made for him because it was a cheap gift. My boyfriend John is extremely difficult to buy presents for. He came from an affluent family and has a great job and buys everything he wants whenever he wants. I'm lower income. I lost my job a few months ago and had to take on another one, which pays less, and I am struggling to pay my part of the rent and pay off my student loans. It's difficult for him to understand this most of the time. I love to paint. My boyfriend has said my paintings are very good and that he likes them a lot. Since my income is so low, I decided to paint my boyfriend a painting for his birthday, Saturday. I researched this for months beforehand. I decided to paint a scene from his favorite game, BioShock, with him as a Big Daddy character. I know it sounds cheesy, but I honestly thought he would like it because he always said I was talented and he loves this game. I poured a ton of work into it. A week before his birthday, he had been hinting heavily at wanting an iPhone. When I presented him with the painting, he asked me if this was his present and if I got him something else. I told him this was his present and that I'd worked on it for months, special for him. He got upset and told me a bunch of awful things, saying that it's a cheap and lazy gift, and that I was cheap in general. I was trying to defuse the situation, and I told him that I was sorry he didn't like it, but I wasn't able to get him the iPhone he wanted. He took the painting, and he didn't tear it, but he sort of bent and crinkled it, completely ruining the paint. He told me that I obviously didn't care about what he wanted, and that I was bad at budgeting, and all of this ranting. It came out that he resented paying for groceries and utilities, even though he'd agreed to this before. I told him that if he wanted to discuss that, we could, but this wasn't a good reaction. He told me that I was just after him for money and that he didn't want a shitty painting, when he could apparently be in a committed relationship with another girl at his workplace who makes more money. Then he told me, "But I love you," as though it was an excuse for what he said. Then he said that this girl had brought him a red velvet cake for his birthday, which is his favorite cake, which I didn't care about. I told him that I baked him a chocolate cake earlier in the week with cream cheese frosting, and that is basically red velvet cake. He switched and said that she had gotten it from his favorite bakery, and some random girl knows which bakery he likes over me. I just went to bed. This morning he's gone, and so is the painting. He sent me a text saying he went out to an Easter birthday brunch with his parents and he'll be back soon. I'm not sure if I want to end the relationship, which has a ton of commitment involved. He's never acted like this before about money, and I don't know what's up, because he's not telling me. I think he might be interested in this other girl, or at least jealous of how much money she makes compared to me. How am I even supposed to approach this? I'm already feeling very hurt about the painting, and I'm not sure that's a good place to start another argument. Too long didn't read, I painted my boyfriend a painting as a birthday present, and he ruined it because he wanted something more expensive. He resents the fact that I don't make as much money as him and is talking about another girl. I'm not sure if I should end the relationship now. Relevant comments. Deleted user. Are you kidding me? Your boyfriend ruined something that you made for him out of love and called it shitty because it wasn't expensive enough. Berates you for your financial situation and is talking about another girl in front of you. Why is this guy not your ex already? Please don't say he's a good guy because good guys don't do shit like this. OP responds, he's definitely not the best guy. What I would say is he says a lot of things in anger, but I'm definitely considering breaking up with him. Because of my financial situation at least, this would be very difficult, however, so I'm wondering if there's any way this could be worked out. OP mentioned something else that happened in the past. Haha, I wish. Wait until I tell you about the muffin incident. He thought I was making blueberry muffins and threw ones across the room when he realized they were cranberry. And the Thanksgiving debacle. He told my grandmother he thought she was dead already. Update, April 6th, 2015, the next day. I have an update. When John didn't return after a couple of hours and I read your comments, I got a little pissy and invited over a couple of girlfriends for drinks and complaining. I did a lot of complaining, and they basically said what you said. John did not return home after his Easter brunch, so I ate a tray of lemon bars. When I got home from work today, he had the painting, and he'd put it in a cheap dollar store frame. It was wrinkled, flaked, and ruined beyond repair. He told me that he was sorry that he got so upset and that he was just expecting a different gift. I asked him where he was, and he said he stayed with his parents for the night and borrowed work clothes from his dad. Yeah, right. I directly asked him why he was so upset when I gave him a painting that I worked so hard on. He said that he pays for everything and gets rightfully upset when I don't use all of my extra cash to be thoughtful. I pay for half of the rent on this expensive apartment, all of my student loans. I have no extra cash. He buys the most expensive part of the groceries, like a pound of pine nuts a week, an expensive gelato always in the freezer, and cranks up the AC and heat and leaves the lights on. We would have countless arguments since I would be paying half of a huge bill that I contributed 10% of. He started paying for utilities and groceries at his insistence, after it started to take a toll on our relationship. I told him that if he was so upset, we could split the utilities evenly again. But I was mad that he took out his temper on me and destroyed all of my hard work. What the hell are pine nuts? I had no idea that was a thing. And why is he buying a fucking pound of them a week? Good God, dude. Anyways, sorry, I had to find out what pine nuts were. He starts saying things like, "You never loved me. You knew I was a prize pig," etc. Our degrees are the same. That's how we met. But his dad hired him right out of school, and I was left to find work for myself. I don't resent him for this, but I wasn't even aware of his economic status while we were initially dating, and by the time I learned, I was already invested in the relationship. Trust me when I say he's never been this aggressive before in our entire relationship, so I knew something was up. I was super pissed, and I outright asked him if he was fucking Red Velvet, his work friend. He said that a while ago, they went out for drinks after work with a whole group and ended up kissing afterwards. I asked him if that was all that happened, and he said yes. I kept asking him what his problem is, why he has to compare me to other girls, why he tore up the painting, why he's aggressive now when he hasn't been before, etc. I know I was probably being annoying, but I was so mad. He kept repeating the money line over and over. Finally, he broke down and told me that it wasn't just a kiss. He said that he and Red Velvet had started going on little dates during work hours. They did not have sex, but they're basically in a relationship. He said he was falling for her and felt as though she was better for him, and wanted me to break up with him. Coward. Part of the painting was his reassessment towards me financially, and part was him wanting to hurt me enough that I'd break up with him. I guess the fight about the painting was when it got real for him, and he wanted to fix it and break it off with Red Velvet. He and I signed a 1-year lease, and we still have 3 months left, but I told him to get out of the apartment and that we're breaking up. And he did leave with some clothes. I'm not sure if he's coming back. Maybe he's staying with Red Velvet. I don't care. Not anymore. Too long didn't read. John is having an affair with his coworker Red Velvet, and we broke up. Edit to add, I do not have a picture of the painting, but I do have one of my pencil sketches uploaded, and I will send the link to people who request it. Final comments. 262 Mel. I'm sorry, you deserve much better. OP responds, I know that now. In a way, I'm almost relieved that there was an underlying cause. Now I feel like he wasn't just being stupid and hurtful because that's who he is, but because it was a goal. Maybe that's a dumb way to think. I still hate him. User Picardi Turd comments, a pound of pine nuts a week? That's what I'm saying. OP responds, weird, right? Like a fucking addict. Picardi Turd responds further, is he using them to salt his driveway? That's insane. OP responds further, he eats them constantly. You know, handfuls at a time. It's basically like eating money. User Derby comments, not to mention they're one of the fattiest nuts you can eat. About 200 calories per handful. OP responds, he is quite chubby. Yeah, good riddance. He'll have himself a nice slice of red velvet cake. The whole, like, kind of break-up chicken thing is just so ridiculous. Dude, you're essentially mistreating your girlfriend because you want to push her to break up with you so that way you don't have the guilty conscience of breaking up with her because you're secretly wanting to fuck red velvet. Dude, bite the bullet. Get it done with. What are you doing? You coward. And that's like not even me getting started with my frustration for him just destroying the painting that his girlfriend made him. Like, seriously, you're gonna call it cheap and effortless when it's literally months to work on it because you wanted iPhone. Yeah, I know you made me an awesome painting, but iPhone. Anyways, I'm gonna be an asshole about it so that way you'll break up with me so I don't have a guilty conscience over wanting to see red velvet. Come on, man. This post was collected by Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is, I'm keeping the garlic. The regional OP's apprehensive loan 946 posted to r/anti-work September 1st, 2025. Threatened termination for joking about a union. Hey all, today's been a crazy Labor Day. I jokingly said, so what, we gotta work and HR gets to take the day off? To a coworker, and next thing I know, 20 minutes later, I'm called to the office by my supervisor and told I can't joke or talk about that. I'm later told, if you discuss unions here directly or indirectly again, it'll be termination. What's the legality of this, and what are my options? This seems insane, especially on Labor Day. Thanks. Some of OP's comments. OP clarifies, I'm not aware of any union within my company. I've been with this workplace for a little over a year and a half. We recently had our supervisor for my area leave. He was awesome. And the newest one has been questionably incompetent. Having this string of events come is still kind of shocking to me. Made me think, is that even legal? I'm looking at all the suggestions though, as I think about what to do. Everyone's been helpful and insightful here. User Stevenson S89 comments, sounds like you work at Walmart. That's the one company I know of that's so anti-union that they'd have a manager act that way. They brainwash people into thinking unions are so bad when they really aren't. They just don't want the oversight of having one for obvious reasons. Opie responds, I work at a warehouse, but I can see it. User, what about that guy? Comments, they're probably already planning it, firing OP. Anyway, for saying the U word. OP responds, I didn't even say the U word is the thing. Directly or indirectly is what's getting me. Indirectly. To another commenter, that's just it. I'm not saying I made a union joke, but apparently it was taken as one. User, ice cream, yeah! 123 comments. But OP didn't say anything about a union. They complained about unfair treatment. This story is missing some critical information, or it's fake. Why did Boss accuse OP of talking about a union when OP's retelling of the convo said nothing of the sort? OP responds, I can't really provide much else to prove it, seeing as of now it's by word. But it's as I said it. I'm just as confused as you are. One issue I had with the place led to another, basically. Deleted user comments. I don't even see how the joke referenced a union. Does your workplace have tiered access to paid holidays? OP responds, it's just entirely HR getting the day off, and all warehouse floor workers have to come in. Top comment from user AX Pendergast. The first thing you do is send an email to the person you spoke with and confirm in writing the contents of your conversation with them. Something along the lines of, thank you for meeting with me today. Just to recap our conversation, you told me not to speak or joke about unions or else I will be terminated. Please let me know if I understand our conversation correctly. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your reply. Blind carbon copy yourself and another trusted person, and the next move is HR's. Update post, November 14th, 2025, 2.5 months later. I posted 2 months ago about making a joke on Labor Day about HR getting the day off and getting threatened with termination by the supervisor about union talk. I couldn't really take much action myself as nothing came up, though recently she was fired for racist comments, and soon after the snitch was fired for, again, racist comments against Mexicans. Birds of a feather, I guess. But felt good to see the morons go. Hope the supervisor enjoys working from the bottom again. Just a shame I couldn't catch them for the anti-union rhetoric at an earlier date, but I'll take this. Every time that I, think about unions, I find it kind of shocking and telling that American education doesn't really teach about the Battle of Blair Mountain that often. Like, it is rare for a high schooler to have any kind of semblance of knowledge of what the Battle of Blair Mountain is, let alone adults nowadays. Also, that one commenter commenting and telling them to essentially recap the conversation over email to see if they'll basically admit to it, 100% the right thing to do there. Seriously, if you ever find yourself in need for maintaining a paper trail, never be afraid to email one of your colleagues or supervisors and, essentially over email confirm the contents of a verbal conversation, essentially locking that shit down as a paper trail. If something ever feels awry and doesn't quite sit well, there's nothing wrong with doing that, because at worst, you never need to use it and the conversation was just simply handled over email. At best, well, good job. You have your ass covered. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and our tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Laner Insaner. Posted r/legal advice, October 20th, 2017. I'm 90% positive my sister-in-law, currently living with us, stole my wife's dog and gave him to her friend. Hello everybody, we live in Boise, Idaho. It's where I grew up. Last week, my wife's pug Banjo was missing from our backyard. My wife hung up flyers everywhere and through social media, the search for Banjo has been shared through multiple states. We have retrieved tons of calls about sightings of a wandering pug near where we live. We've checked, and it hasn't been Banjo. A little background. My wife's sister, who's living with us at the moment, has expressed her hate that our dog sleeps in a doghouse outside during spring, summer, and warm days in fall. She believes he should be an inside dog and has always hated that he sleeps in a doghouse. My wife always has her dog inside during the day, but most night he sleeps in the doghouse outside. You make a pug sleep outside? Considering how fucked their breathing is, that's not good for them. That's going to cause respiratory issues. Huh. Anyways, our dog went missing last Saturday morning and the gate was open. We 100% saw him sleeping outside the night before. Apparently, my wife's sister's friend posted to social media with a picture of a brand new pug she got, which happened to be the night before he went missing. When my wife went to look, the friend and sister-in-law blocked her from their social media. We had someone else try and look to see if it was him, but the post was quickly removed, I guess. My sister-in-law's friend usually comes over to our house twice a month, so she knows the dog and our house. The friend hasn't posted any pictures of the dog, but apparently she named the dog Nacho, which sounds decently close to Banjo and would allow him to come to their call. My sister-in-law instantly gets quiet whenever we bring the Banjo up and is seriously acting suspicious as crap. There are some other personal details regarding why we believe she would take them. The sister-in-law and friend are both around 19 and act very immaturely. My wife thinks they are keeping the dog at the boyfriend's house. We found out where he lives, and my wife wants to go on a stakeout to see if we can see if it's him. They have before contacted the police about it. I want to confront the sister-in-law about it, but my wife is worried if we do, she will tell her friend to move the dog somewhere else to stay out of trouble. My question is, if they really did steal our dog, what can we do about it? Also, any advice would be greatly appreciated. My wife has been so upset this last week, and I just want to find her dog. I have a feeling my sister-in-law did take him and give him to her friend. I just don't want to take action without full-blown proof. We have multiple pictures of Banjo to compare and see if it's him, and also have proof of when we purchased the dog, and also the social media post about him missing. I just want to find him, and will be upset if they really did do this to us. Thank you for reading. Relevant comments. Carl, 321321. Did you ever take the dog to the vet? Did he have any operation or stitches that could be used to verify? OP responds, "No, we have not. He is a very unique pug though, way taller and longer legged than most pugs. Luckily, we have lots of pictures of him to compare." I'm sorry, you have an outside pug that you haven't taken to the vet? So, no shots, no vaccines, no nothing? Good God. User Molly Cool responds, "Also, take your animal to the vet. Hate to sound like an ass, but that's terribly irresponsible of you as a dog owner to have never taken your dog to a vet. Dogs need a checkup once a year." OP responds, "He just turned 1 this month. That's why we haven't yet." Edit, not sure why I'm being downvoted. We purchased him as a puppy after he was already given his shots and such. You said he needs to be given a checkup once a year. He just turned 1, and my wife was already planning on taking him to get 1 this month. Edit 2. You guys are completely right. As soon as we find him, we will take him to the vet for a checkup, shots and chip. Appreciate the feedback. I'm sorry. I know that you lost your dog and it was potentially stolen, but you have an outdoor pug and you didn't think to get them chipped? Come on. User calling you out too comments, "My first question is, why is this person still living in your house, and have you started eviction proceedings?" OP responds, "If this all turns out to be true, then she will be out of the house quick." User Fell Knight responds, "Just some advice to make sure you evict her legally with written notice in accordance with Idaho laws. Otherwise, you are opening yourself up to a potential lawsuit." Update, October 22nd, 2017, 2 days later. Boise, Idaho. Here is an update since my last post. My wife got her friend to confront the friend and her boyfriend who they thought took him. They were recording the whole interaction. The friend and her boyfriend pretended they had no idea who my wife was, even though the girl has come over to our house multiple times over the years and is best friends with my wife's sister. Our dog Banjo was at the door when they answered. After my wife's friend confronted them and told them they were going to get the police involved, they slammed the door in her face. My wife talked to a cop, but was told they couldn't do anything that night since the couple that took our dog lived in the next by city, so probably Meridian. My wife gave them information about it all and gave them the girl's number who took the dog. The cop called her and left a voicemail after she didn't answer. The cop then called my wife and told her to go to their house with a cop on the line. They then acted like they didn't have a dog, even though they just saw the dog when they first confronted them. The cop told my wife to leave the house because the girl wouldn't even come to the door to talk to my wife. The cops told my wife they will call her back once the girl responds to the cop's voicemail. 10 minutes later, the girl who stole the dog texted my wife saying they will give her Banjo back as long as they don't involve the cops. Sketchy. They met up with them and got Banjo back while being cussed out for stalking them and finding where they live. Banjo is now home, and I've never seen my wife so happy with tears of joy. As for my wife's sister, who is currently living with us and was a part of the whole process, is playing dumb and acting like she didn't know about it until a couple days ago. We will be having a sit-down discussion with her once she gets home, and we'll be giving her an eviction notice on when she needs to be moved out. I will let her know, and we'll be recording the whole conversation as well as writing an eviction notice document. My wife is beyond upset she would be betrayed by her sister, especially after we were only charging her $50 a month on rent with her own bathroom, letting us use our car to get to work and even feeding her so she could save up for a vehicle for herself. As much as I hate being mean to people, I can't allow her to live with us any longer and we'll be cutting off letting her use the car today. I just really hope she learns a lesson from this, just as much as I have. Thanks everyone for the advice and opinions. We really appreciate it. Now, on to my next update. I've read every comment you guys wrote and I completely agree with you all. First off, I've never really had a dog before because I'm not an animal person, sadly. My wife, on the other hand, is the biggest animal lover I've ever met. She would literally adopt every animal she has come across if she could. I wasn't aware pugs had such issues sleeping outside, even if he slept in an insulated doghouse. Some more background information is we didn't let him sleep outside until 2 months ago. He would be inside all day around 7 p.m. and sleep in his doghouse. Around this time, the average outside temperature was averaging 70 degrees outside. So as a quick note, because of how difficult pugs have of a time breathing, they're more susceptible to heat stroke because they can't properly ventilate their bodies. Another piece of information I've learned is my wife has actually gave Banjo his warming shots and that tick stuff you give a dog. We live in a subdivision with a decent-sized gated backyard, so I wasn't worried about animals attacking him. Because of the feedback you guys have given me, I have talked to my wife and we will be making Banjo an inside dog from now on. We will also be making sure he gets taken to the vet and get all of his shots and checkups. I apologize if I upset anyone about the way we treated Banjo. I didn't put enough effort into thinking about his sleeping and veterinarian needs. I am currently in the process of potty training our 2- and 1.5-year-old son, and have been putting more effort than anything else making sure he is learning and using the potty. So, we will be working our hardest to give Banjo the best life he can. My wife loves him more than anything and treats him as another son. I've honestly never seen anyone love a dog as much as my wife loves and treats Banjo. He is super happy and excited to be home, and my son gave him a big hug as soon as he got here. Thank you again for everything you guys have helped me with. Advice, thoughts, and your opinions. I will work my hardest to make sure we can be the best dog owners we can possibly be. I'm just glad he's home. Thank you guys again. Edit, some grammar. Yeah, some. And update on sister-in-law. Final comments. When told to get Banjo chipped, we are getting Banjo microchipped this Friday. So, please make sure that if you're going to adopt a specific dog breed, that you do research on that breed to make sure you're not putting them in harm's way. As someone that's grown up with Shih Tzus, Pugs, and Bulldogs, who have that facial deformity, I can't remember the name of it, you have to take into account different measures of care for them because they need different standards of care because of their respiratory problems. It can also, unfortunately, because of how narrow and short their snouts are, lead to teeth cramming, and it can lead to them decaying faster because it's harder to brush them or clean them properly. Anyways, as someone who has grown up with these kinds of dogs, I'm put into a position of I think everyone in this story just sucks, except for the dog, of course. Like, I'm happy the owners are taking Reddit's advice seriously and actually putting proper care towards the dog, but it took them losing their dog to even consider doing a modicum of research to find out what the dog needs. I don't know, that just rubs me the wrong way there. This post was collected by Garden Geo. The original OP is Tailwag Techie in 20s India. Originally posted November 8th, 2025. I took a girl out for lunch and she ended up crying in the restaurant. Now I can't go back there. Today I went to drop my mom at a school meetup and she introduced me to her friend's daughter. We started talking and really vibed. She seemed nice, so I asked if she wanted to grab lunch, and she said yes. Since she's not from here, I took her to one of the best places in town because I wanted to show her some good food around. Everything was going great. Casual talk, food, laughter, until I asked about her ambitions. Next thing I know, she starts tearing up and then crying in the middle of the restaurant. The waiter, who was taking our order, started handing her tissues while I just awkwardly continued giving the order because I had no idea how to react. Everyone around started staring. Some looked like they were ready to defend her if she screamed for help. The entire situation made it seem like I did something terrible. And just when I thought it couldn't get more awkward, the restaurant staff offered her a free dessert, which she happily accepted, still sniffling. I paid the bill, dropped her off, and now I can't even think about going back to that place. I didn't even do anything wrong, but somehow I'm the one feeling guilty. Edit, I really wanted to know the reason, and I wanted to ask her, but I just thought that might trigger her, and she may start crying again, so I started talking about something else. Comments! Comment 1. Exactly, she is crying, and OP like, yeah, 1 farmhouse and 2 white sauce pastas, please. Comment 2. Bro, in a third person's POV, she was crying and you ordered food makes it look like you did something and don't care about it. Comment 3. Must have been some other reason. Did you ask her why she was crying? Comment 4. OP got so traumatized he didn't even care to ask the girl, and started overthinking to such an extent he considered himself as a reason. OP responds, I got confused. After lunch she was fine and said sorry for that, but asking her about that felt like triggering her again, so I didn't. Comment 5. Bro, that's straight out of a sitcom, like How I Met the Most Awkward Moment of My Life. Comment 6. Honestly, I would have cried too if someone had asked me about my ambitions. Comment 7. The least you could have done is console her and make her feel safe enough to tell you what made her cry. OP responds, I met her for the first time. Update 1. Next day, morning. She called me and explained that she has some memories linked to that place with her grandmother. That's the reason. Update 2. Next day, evening. She told me everything, and I didn't know how to react. She picked me up, and we met again. This time, she told me everything. She's been in a relationship for 5 to 6 years. She really loves the guy, but now he's going to marry someone else because of caste differences. His mom apparently hates her for the same reason. She said she once had ambitions, dreams, and plans, but now she doesn't know what she wants anymore. She looked completely lost while saying it. I didn't know what to say at first, but I told her that maybe it's good they got separated because if they had ended up together, his family might have taunted her about her caste or behavior again and again. I've seen my friends go through that, and it only hurts more in the long run. Now, I keep thinking if that was the right thing to say. I didn't want to sound cold or dismissive. I just wanted to help her see that sometimes walking away, even from someone you love deeply, might save you from breaking later. Editor's note. OP made a separate post reviewing the food he had on the second date. The food, said meal, photo 1, was rated 5 out of 5. He also ordered gulab jamun, photo 2, just in case she cried again. He could offer her something sweet. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of that. Further comments. Comment 1. It's no longer your issue. The best you can do is tell her this and run away. Comment 2. Walk away. Additional comment from OP. Yeah, she hugged me and we're not going to meet again. It was a goodbye hug. I think OP, despite how awkward the situation was, probably handled this the best he could have. I mean, if you ask someone about their ambitions and they just break down ugly crying at the restaurant, I don't know how I'd react in that situation. I mean, if the waiter then asked me what I wanted to eat while my date was ugly crying, I'd probably also order the farmhouse special. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do in that scenario. Also, additionally, learning about dating customs and norms from India is definitely interesting because hearing that there's active caste systems still is kind of crazy. I went to look a little bit into the Indian caste system, and I realized very quickly that this is a rabbit hole I wouldn't be walking out of for quite a few hours. So I'm going to take a step back and look at this a different time, but it feels like a weirdly more aggressive and judgmental version of the US class system, like, upper, lower, middle class, but, with a extra dosage of judgment on top of it, which is already saying something considering how the US can be. I'd be curious if anyone has any additional information they could add in the comments that I'd be more than happy to read, because this has piqued my interest, but it's a rabbit hole I'm scared to go down because I know I'll end up hyper-fixating on it for a while. And that is not how I want to spend my birthday today. Don't forget, today we're launching the 3 opossums in a trench coat plush. Coming live at yeah. But you should definitely buy this plush. It is totally not 3 opossums in a trench coat. Totally not. You should definitely allow this completely non-conspicuous, oddly shaped, distinguished gentleman into your home, who will certainly not lay claim to your pantry. This is in fact 3 opossums in a trench coat who will in fact lay complete desolation to your fridge, pantry, and potentially garbage. On sale now!